All right, Erector White Truck, number 7. So I have the bed of the truck mounted, and this was really easy. So I'll just show you how I mounted it rather than going through the whole process. So I made a brace to go across right here. And this one, I did the brace the same way I did the top and the bottom of the frame rail. So it's a perforated strip going across top and bottom, and I used 11 hole strips, and I have them overlapped 4 holes. And what I did is I laid the bed in place, and I just marked through holes in the bed where it was lining up with holes in the frame rail. And so that showed me where to put the mounting points. And then I moved the bed away, and then I figured out where I needed to get my spacing for that front brace. And I wanted the front brace doubled up just to add strength to the chassis more than anything else. And then this brace in the back is just a single overlap perforated strap, and that one was one I had in the chassis, and that technically could be removed, does not need to be there. And then at the very back, I wanted to just put 2 bolts in the center holes running down through the bed to hold the bed on. That's plenty more than enough. If you wanted to figure out a way, you could put, there's a hole here and here. You could go further back with the chassis. There's holes here. I think this one has holes in the outer part. So if you wanted to do 4 or 6 bolts, you could do that, but 2 are going to be more than enough. So what I did on this one is I used one of the double angles. And the reason I had to do that rather than just the perforated strip is that the spacing in the perforated strip was not right to hit on a center hole. I was hitting in between 2 holes. So I had an even number of holes going across instead of an odd number. So I used this along with 2 of the, I think they're 8-hole strips. So I've got those bolted on, and then they bolt into the frame, and then that put that center hole in the middle, and I just went into the slots. It's equally spaced, but now I had a center mounting hole for the bed. And then I just placed the bed with 2 bolts. So I've got a bolt here and a bolt here. And then with my bracing, I've got 2 bolts underneath the bed here, 2 bolts underneath the bed back here. And so when these are pulled down snug, it pulls against the top of those bolts, and the frame, the bed is really mounted on there well, and the whole truck is very, very sturdy. So I just noticed I have not tightened up the nuts yet. I do have to tighten the nuts for the firewall, so I'll do that. But I'm going to set this aside. And as I said, I want to use this build to build a wrecker. And several months ago, when I was first getting into this, I found this truck on the web, and so I really like the way the wrecker was done on this with the larger girders. I thought that looked cool, and so this set, along with the other stuff I've done, it has all the parts in it to build the wrecker boom. So I'll show you the construction of that, and pictures like this, if you can get these printed out. So fortunately, working at a school, I have access to a pretty decent color copier. So I was able to take these pictures, and this one must have been a better quality that they put online. So that's a really nice picture of the truck. You're able to count the holes to see exactly the way it was mounted, and that helps in putting it together because it's already built, so you know that it's going to work. And then I have a couple other views that are more top views of the truck. I think there are about a half a dozen pictures of this truck that were online. So, it definitely gives you opportunity to borrow a design that's already out there and to use it. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm not going to take credit for the design. It's not mine, but I like it and it's going to work on this build. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that. So with that design in mind, I've got the one side of the boom already made, and now it's a matter of making the mirrored side. That's where I always get messed up. I end up building the same side and then have to take it all apart and redo it. So I'm gonna try not to do that. But looking at the pictures, the parts that are used is 2 of the gearbox side plates. Now, these are actually from a parts set. This set, I've been saying it was very complete. It did not have the 2 gearbox side plates in it. So I had to dig those out of another set. It uses the gearbox base plate, and that's going to mount down at the bottom here. It uses the larger size girders, so 2 on each side, and the 2 straights, they overlap 2 holes. And then it uses one of the large curved girders, and this set came with 2 of these, so that's perfect. And this girder these are just overlapped 1 set of holes. I thought at first it was 2, but it's not. It's just 1 set of holes. So I'm going to do it that same way. And this is, even with just the 1 hole overlapping, that's going to be plenty strong enough once we get it all together. It'll even be a functioning crank winch on the wrecker boom. So it needs 2 of the 5-inch girders and 2 of the 2.5-inch, and then 2 of the 2.5-inch curved. And that makes the bracing that we see here and here. Those braces are mounted to the bed of the truck using 2 of these angle brackets. And these are the thinner ones. There are some angle brackets in the set that are a heavier material, but these will give us the strength that we're going to need. And then it's going to use a few of the collars. So I got a few of those out. And then it uses one of the drums. Now the one on that wrecker is the fancier one. There's one that's got a thicker edge on one side. I don't have that one, so I'm just going to use the plain drum. That'll work. And then it uses 2 of these 36 tooth gears. Now, looking at the picture, I thought maybe somebody had set it up with something where you had something in here so that when you turned it, it wouldn't come back. That's not the case. It's these, I think, are just on there for looks. They're not actually a functional part of the system. I might play around with it. Maybe I'll get a little piece of spring steel and make something so that actually functions. So those are the parts that we need to assemble the boom. And then in the bed of the truck, they have on that picture 2 of these 12-inch, 10-inch plates maybe. I guess these are 10-inch plates. And these are mounted overlapping. And then there's holes in the side of the bed to mount these. So this assembly will all get put together and then it gets mounted on here. So I'm going to do that the exact same way and just follow the picture. So that's the plan. So it's really just putting some parts together. On one of these girders, I did have to do a little bit of straightening. So that's not a thing that you're going to get away from. These parts were played with for a long time and stored for a long time, and not always stored in the best situations, but they were loved, and as they were loved, they were damaged. So it's pretty common to have to straighten parts out. Now I am shooting for some symmetry side to side. So on that boom, I have a bolt and a bolt. If I want to, I can go back and put in 2 more bolts here. But when I did the opposite side here, I made sure that I used that same pattern on the opposite side. And then I've just found that holding this stuff backwards right now lets me make the other side a little easier. So and I used the same pattern where I overlapped. So I have the first one I overlapped, and then I overlapped again. So the model looks better when it's finished if you use that same pattern on both sides. That's the way a real truck would be built, so, or should be built, I guess. Maybe that's what bothered me about I think it was a Skyen. They made a little boxy mini truck thing, and it wasn't symmetrical from side to side. I didn't like that. All right, so these can be tightened up here. Looks good. All right, and then this base plate is going to mount on the inside. I'm going to flip this around. So as this gets mounted now, it uses the top hole in the girder and then the second hole down in the side plate. And then I'm using the second middle hole All right, now I can hold these together And that looks the same, and it lines up. Everything's symmetrical there. So now this piece, I really don't think it matters if it's got this notch on the one end. And looking at the pictures, I don't think I was able to tell exactly. Here's some of the other pictures. So it looks like in this top view, it's mounted with that cutout going toward the back of the truck. So that's what I'm going to go with. Cutout toward the back, but again, I really, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. And what they did is they used not the first slot, but the second slot over. When that gearbox base is pushed all the way down, there's not enough space for the nut to turn on the back, so you can get it tightened up really nice. I don't know if I said it in one of the other videos, but this set, it was missing some of the nuts and bolts. So I did have to go to a parts set and pull out some of the nuts. And I'm running low on nuts, so I might have to go back to that set and take a few more, but that was just a parts set. It was also about the same year White Truck set, so it's the same fasteners. All right, so that's the basic wrecker boom assembled. That was really easy. And then we've got the pulley here, or plain drum, and this does have on each side, it's got the threaded collars. So those take the smaller machine screws. These must be a 6. Looks like it's the same thread, so probably a 632. And I know the way this is, there's no way I'm going to be able to thread that in easily. Let's try. This is a sure way to drop it. Well, give this one more try. If I can't get it, I'll add that one off camera. Yep, that one will go on off camera. So, taking a look at the picture, just like we'd look at the directions in the manual, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 holes up. So that's going to put us 1, 2, 3. That's going to put the axle going through, I'm sorry, the crank going through right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it through the crank. And I'm not putting the gears on yet. So those will go on, but I want to just get an idea of the spacing up top. Excuse me. And up top there is, I'm going to use, it looks like it's one of these, they call it a sheave pulley. In the parts list, this is part AQ, and it's mounted through the top center hole. And I've got one of the short axles. It looks like that's the size that is used. There we go. So now this is going to, just depending on how you want the spacing to be here, depends on how you set this up. If you want to put one of the collars on the inside on each side, you could do that. The other option in this set, there are 4 of these small brass collars. So you could put one of those on each side here, and then one on the outside. So that would be another option. The other thing that it looks like would work is just a 7/8 bolt through at the top. So if you just do a bolt at the top, you could even put a nut on the inside on each side of the boom and tighten that up, and that would make that really solid. And I think that's actually what I may do there. And then I think I'm going to use one of these round small collars on the outside and not worry about anything on the inside then. And I think that'll work out fine, and that won't cause any problems with the boom. Now this set did have some string with it. Looks like it's maybe the original string that came with this, or at least some of it. So there's a hole in the drum, and that end's not wanting to go through. It needs one of those little plastic things that a shoelace has. I forget what they call those. All right, and then on the end of that, go with the large hook, and it's ready to go. So I'll do a little bit more, just a little finish up on this, but that's how that wrecker boom goes together. And you've got, like I said, you got a few different ways that you can build this. And then for the bracing, put these together real quick. So if we look at the side view picture, we've got a 5-inch long, 5-inch curved and a 2.5-inch straight. And I've got the wrong 5-inch girders out here. I've got straight ones out, and we need curved. I'm still kind of amazed at the condition that the parts in this set were in. There's a few parts that have just a little bit of rust on them, but a lot of them, hardly none, and still nice and shiny. So it's pretty amazing for being as old as the set is, the condition that those parts are in. And I'll just put one of these together so you can see this. So center hole, and I'm going with the short curved one. Now this one I don't want to completely tighten. So looking at the direction or the picture, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th hole here. And then this one is in the 7th hole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the 7th hole, and that is not right. It's in the 9th hole. 7, 8, 9. So that is right. There we go. And I'm just going to put one of these big nuts on the back here to hold that. And of course those, I don't want to tighten them at this point. This one's okay to tighten, but these other ones, I'll leave them a little loose, and then they'll get one of these angles mounted at the bottom, and then that'll get mounted into holes in the base plate of the bed of the truck. So yeah, that's really cool. I'll finish this up off camera and get the base plates mounted in the bed, and then the next video we'll get this mounted, finish this up. I did want to mention one interesting thing as I was looking at this. As you look at this picture and look at the drum, it looks like the drum is wrapped, maybe 2 complete wrappings all the way across, maybe even 3. So I'm going to have to find some different string, because there's not enough in the set left to be able to wrap that. So I think I've got some string that looks pretty similar, and I'll end up using some new string to do that part of it. So video number 7. Thanks for watching. Getting close. Maybe 1 or 2 more videos, and this build will be done. Thank you.